to the podcast of Jonathan Gegerson. This is a podcast for Perspective C. And as many of you know, I'm a 3-time cancer survivor. And I've been through right now so far 140 treatments. Still get chemo once a month, but I'm still smiling, and I hope you are too. This podcast is going to really be based a lot about who I am today compared to who I was before cancer. And so many of us go through changes throughout life. And we know that a situation and events happen, that we learn from these things and we can gain insight from them. And there are traumatic events that carry on with us throughout life that no matter what we do, even when we're aware of them, it can still come out and cause us to make decisions based on past events. And we have to become aware of these traumatic events so much to the forefront that we understand that who we were before the traumatic events is not who we are after the traumatic events. And the traumatic events, as I'm referring them to, can change us in a very positive way or a negative way. What I mean by that, for instance, my parents, they split when I was about 12, 13. And that was a traumatic event, as it is for many children when parents divorce. But one thing is, as unhappy as I was about it, what I was able to gain from it when it came time for me to marry is I knew that I was willing to do whatever I needed to do to learn to make sure I had a very successful, wonderful marriage. Doesn't mean everything's always been bliss for me and my awesome wife, but just means that I grew from that to know what I didn't want to have happen compared to what I saw happen. So that's something that was a traumatic event for me. Also, some financial stuff I've gone through where, I've unfortunately have had to declare bankruptcy in my lifehood, and which wasn't very exciting for me. I didn't like it. I'm a believer. So, I really had to pray a lot about it and get counsel from other believers and so forth. But looking back, it was something that I needed to do to protect my family. And that was a traumatic event for me. But I learned from that. And what I learned from that is the mistakes I made to make sure that would never happen again. And that was a traumatic event where I gained insight. And so I learned from it and grew from it and know that, hey, I don't want to go through that again. And then we get to, a bunch of other things. But one of the things, obviously, I've gone through is cancer treatment. From when I was first diagnosed in 2019 to here we are in 2024. And who I was before cancer is definitely not who I am today. There's some similarities. And I am fortunate to have gone into cancer already with a very deep understanding of my faith, as well as a very positive attitude. And my positive attitude really is what helped me get through it along with my faith. And the traumatic events of 67 sessions of radiation, which for me was the most difficult part, actually. The chemo, which now I've had my 69th treatment or 70th treatment of chemo, I get that and it knocks me out, but it's that the sessions of radiation of lying on the table, and especially when I had proton radiation and I'd be on the table for like 20 or so minutes, it's amazing how many thoughts you have and what goes through your brain as you're getting treated and locked down with a mask for your own safety and to ensure, what gets radiated is only the areas that should get radiated. And I realized that lying on that table and then coming out each night and then getting in the car with my wife and going back home and then seeing the pictures of what I looked like when I went through radiation, the pictures looked much worse than how I actually felt. I didn't feel great, but the pictures make it look way worse. So I want to tell you, if you're going through radiation, yeah, it's not fun, but I think the images we see and what we conjure in our brain are way worse than what it actually felt like to me. But I gained a perspective of just, not only does every moment count, but I gained a real perspective of how often we take things that are so trite and we make them so big. I also gained a perspective about how we hold on to money so tightly, so many of us, when really it means nothing because you can't take it with you. I also gained a perspective on how important family is and true, sincere friends. I realized very quickly who in my family was there for me. And I mean, not just my wife and kids, they were there for me, but even beyond that. And then what friends really understood the change to the best they could. And so part of that was just realizing that I need to share my love and my time with a certain limited people. It doesn't mean I'm not kind and not willing to share kindness and love with others. It doesn't mean anything like that. It just means that I really got grounded in understanding who really cared and who just said they cared. And that's okay, because everybody deals with it differently. I'm not upset with anyone who said they cared and I haven't heard from them in 2.5 years. I'm not upset with them. I still care for them and want the best. But I've really learned to embrace those that are constantly caring and show it through action. And that's something that changed for me. Like my great friends and the ones who truly care about me, I look at it like this. If I text them, they're texting me back the same day. They're not making me wait 4 or 5 days, no matter what's going on in their life. My family is the same thing. Same with those that I call and want to talk to. They can't take it, but right then and there, but they're calling me back within a day or two, you know? And so I've realized that about people and also about me, that I need to make sure that I respond to those people. I've also learned that while, I was told certain things about lifespan, certain unknowns, that I've changed to really say it's okay to have unknowns. And I'm okay with unknowns. I really am. And it can bring a lot of anxiety to us. It can bring much concern when we don't know. Yet there are wonderful blessings in just the unknown. And it's okay. We can't know everything. In fact, we don't. And we have to learn to not allow the unknowns get us so anxious and frustrated. And that's something that's changed about me. I used to get very anxious about the unknown. And now the unknown, I'm like, we don't know. And that's okay. I can still smile and live and move forward with the unknown. I really can. Finances. Well, money can be one of the greatest stressors and can ruin marriages, friendships. It can suck your life away when you don't have enough. Or if you have so much that all you find in joy is material things. They only go so far. I'm not dissing any material things. I think it's great if you have the means and that's something you want to do. I think it's great as long as you're still helping people and helping making the world better, then I'm all for it. But I no longer sweat finances. We always should pay our bills on time and be good stewards of our money. But I have gone through a lot of times where just the finances didn't add up and things didn't meet. And I'd have to call people and companies and banks. And what I came to find out is some places are very respectful of understanding here's what I'm going through, and I'm working through it. And some places just don't care. They're like, I understand you're going through cancer. I'm sorry to hear that, but honestly, we need to have this now. And I've come to find that some people say, as much as banks say, as much as we care about the fact that, and sorry to hear you're going through that, this is what you have to do. And if you can't, we will continue moving forward with whatever they can within the right of the law. And I've had to learn to say, okay, but I can't stress out about it, because the number one thing I have to focus on, in all honesty, is my health, so I can be there to love on my family and those who I care about. And if I focus on the finances and worrying about this bank or this or that happening, I can't focus truly on my health. I'll be so stressed out about money that I can't focus on what I need to do to make sure I live. Because you can get so locked up. And I'm not saying you shouldn't pay your bills on time and be a good steward, but I'm saying life does happen. And in my case, it was a very traumatic event. And it's just led me down the path to go, you know what? I still want to always pay my bills on time. I always communicate with people if I can't, the banks or whatever it may be. But I've come to find that unfortunately, most of the institutions don't care. And they just are another employee on the line. And as much as they say they do care, they're doing their job. And unfortunately, I wish it was different. I wish there were programs out there where, companies, whether it's your auto loan, your mortgage, whatever it may be. I wish they had programs for people who were going through severe illness and lost their income, to really be able to help and say, guess what? We have something we can do for you. But unfortunately, there really isn't much. So I've had to learn to say, you know what? I can't stress about finances. Instead, I have to look at money doesn't come with me. And when it's my time, guess what? All that debt goes away, or whatever it may be. What I need to make sure is that when my time comes, that my wife and kids are protected and that they will be set. And they will. I do have life insurance that I got many, many, many years ago. And I'm so thankful I did that. Because when something happens to me, and it's my time, which it will be all of our times at one point, I know they'll be taken care of. In addition, a perspective that totally changed me is I always think about if somebody does something that I'm not really happy about, or they're behaving in a way that I can't believe they're like that. I really ask myself, if something had happened to me yesterday, is this how I'd want to feel towards this person? And if the answer is yes, then it's great. But if the answer is no, then I think to myself, I have to call and clear the air, because you know what? Maybe that could be the case. And I don't want to feel this way towards this person. I don't want to leave this earth knowing that I felt this way. Because you never know. Because you know what? Once I leave the earth, that person will never be able to hear another word from me again. And it's vice versa. Maybe somebody feels something about me, or maybe I did something and they need to call me up and talk to me because they don't want me to leave the earth thinking they felt that way. Or maybe they don't want me to leave the earth feeling that way about me. So something that is very changed is just, I look at things and go, is this really how I want to feel about this person? I just need to call up and clear the air if I need to clear the air. And that's okay. I'll do that. And so that's a big change. Plus, I look at everything and I go, experiences is what builds memories. And we can get so caught up about this and that and the time, the cost. And I'm not saying spend money you don't have. Don't ever do that. But what I am saying is make sure you make a point to go, I want to build memories with the people I love, because that's what they're going to remember. They're going to remember the trips we had, the laughter we had, the fun time we had playing games or having movie night. They're going to remember those things. And that's the power of time. That if we use our time in that manner, then we're going to be able to say, hey, guess what? We made the most of our time with the ones we love. The other thing is, don't be selfish at all. The only place that I'm selfish is making sure I take care of my health first. So I make sure I exercise. I make sure that I'm eating as much as I can, even though I'm somewhat on a liquid diet right now because I'm having trouble swallowing. But I eat as much as I can. I'm exercising as much as I can. I'm doing my massages that I have to do to myself for lymphedema, stretching out my jaw so I make sure I can still fit a fork and a spoon in there. I'm doing those things. That's the only place that I'm selfish today. The other thing, is, as many of you know, I wrote a book, Perspective C. It's available now on Amazon, and you can order it. And we're looking to sell 1 million copies worldwide, which I know is a tremendous goal. Probably some of you hear that and go, what are you, nuts? But I am. And the reason I'm nuts is because I overcame cancer 3 times when I was told I might not. That I'm enduring chemo treatment every month and still able to be active. And I'm still smiling. So I have a goal. Again, the book is Perspective C. It's by me, Jonathan Gegerson. If you haven't picked up a copy, pick up a copy today and support the cause, because we are looking to sell so many books to raise capital so we can purchase land and build a cabin retreat on it to open up to families who have been through serious cancer treatment, where they can come together for free, all expenses paid, to Colorado and spend some time in a beautiful place where they can just connect again with one another and enjoy each other's company. And we can embrace in that family that there is life. It's not just survival, but there's actually life after cancer, and we can help them. And that's why I wrote a book, to help people. It's called The Power of Words, Time, Love, and Suffering. I really hope you pick up a copy today and read it. Leave a review on Amazon. Make it different. But I am not who I am today, and that's who I was before cancer. And many of you may think of that. You know what? Look back on your life and look at the traumatic events and how they molded you. Did they make you better, or have they made you worse? And if they've made you worse, look at it and go, how can I look at that traumatic event to make it better? And I know some of you have been through a lot of terrible things. Okay? But I want to encourage you to look at it and go, how can I look at this to go, it stunk? I mean, look, cancer's treatment and what I went through, I don't wish it upon anybody. Yet, it stunk. But yet, how can I look at it and become better from it? And then pass that along to my generations and generations and generations. It's so important to take our lessons that we've learned and pass them on to others. And so embrace the trauma, embrace the suffering, and decide to go, I'm going to learn something from this. I'm going to make a difference about this. Then I'm going to pass it on to future generations so I can break the mold, and that future generation can even be better and stronger and smarter. It's so important to be that way. I just want to encourage you to remember, this is Jonathan Gegerson, 3-time cancer survivor, been through now 141 treatments total, and I'm still smiling. And I hope you are too. Keep smiling, know who you are, know you can change, and know you can get through whatever it is you need to get through. Thanks for listening, and please, once again, pick up a copy of Perspective C.